All right, AEW All In 2024 is now in the history books from London in Wembley Stadium. This was the second All In show. Definitely not as hyped up as the first one, because in the first one the company was much bigger and it was the first time going to Wembley. So of course, diminishing returns. They did not announce an attendance that I saw. They didn't announce an attendance. Maybe I missed it because it was a long show. But it wasn't like the 72 or 80,000 they did last year. It was probably around 50, which is still a good number. I mean, at the end of the day, it'll probably end up being AEW's second biggest show of the year. Plus, the ticket prices were also more expensive too, so they're gonna make a good income. Now, as I've said in other videos, I haven't been watching the television all the way through. I've been seeing highlights and whatnot, so I'm caught up on pretty much all the angles going into the show. It was a good show. I think I liked it more than last year's. Last year felt like they maybe put too much into the show, even though it was obviously a big show. There were a lot of multi-man matches, and this show had a lot of them too, but this show felt a little bit more focused, and there was really no bad matches, with the exception of one, which I'm going to talk about as we go through. But, so let's go ahead and just go through it, all right? So there was a 16-man tag match that I only caught the end of because it aired before 12 o'clock Eastern time, and I didn't even know the show was going to start at 11:30, so I didn't get to see most of the match. But I saw the very end of it, just a bunch of guys on the card. They were doing a lot of high spots, nothing that really, I can comment on. I didn't see the whole match. So Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii against Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. This was a good match to open the show with because a lot of it was Stokely obviously being scared to death of Tomohiro Ishii. Really, most of the match was Willow and Chris, who have been feuding since Chris turned on her. I think it was the Dynamite after... It was actually right after the match with Mercedes Moné at Double or Nothing. So it was not the Dynamite. It was that very same night. And so they still have their feud ongoing. And I believe Willow and Chris are going to wrestle again at All Out for the CMLL Women's title. So this is not the end of the feud. But Willow and Tomohiro Ishii win with, of course, Stokely getting killed. Makes the most sense. Fine. The Von Erichs, Sammy Guevara, Shibata, and Dustin Rhodes. This is like a Ring of Honor match with Ring of Honor guys against the Undisputed Kingdom and Cage of Agony. Again, fine match for what it was. I like how Dustin is he has the trios tag titles and Ring of Honor tag titles, and they could do a really good storyline there where maybe the Von Erichs and Sammy start to kind of fight over Dustin and who he's going to devote more time to. They could actually do something creative here. Don't know if they will do it because, like I've said before, AEW's booking leaves a lot to the imagination. But overall, the match was fine for what it was. The baby faces won. The Von Erichs, the one that was really the MVP here was Dustin, bro. Everyone did great. I'm not saying they didn't, but Dustin's got everything down. The character, just everything down. And he's such a likable guy. You know what I mean? Even when he busts out Cody's move. Cody's the champion of the WWE. But even the most hardcore AEW fans have to respect the fact that he's still in there. So, Dustin's great. Now, the show officially opened with this 4-way London ladder match. So, it's basically 4 teams of 3. Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club, and I guess Pac is now a member, I'm guessing. Moxley was not on this show at all. He's maybe taking his vacation finally. They're in here, and they won. The defending team was the Patriarchy, and the Bang Bang Gang and the House of Black were all in this match. The House of Black had a really cool entrance. I don't know what's up with people saying that, the House of Black want to leave to go to WWE. I keep hearing that. But that was a rumor from a year ago, I think, that was debunked by Malachi Black. But now the rumor keeps coming back. So don't know how true any of that is. But Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club. Pac lost the Lucha Bros. The Death Triangle is no more, which is kind of a bummer because I mean that group goes all the way back to what, like late 2019, like that was like year one AEW. And but the match was what you would expect, man. It wasn't too different from, well, it was way more extreme from the matches like the WrestleMania like multi-man tag match for the, for both tag titles. Like it was like that type of a match. Like, there's way too many ladder matches nowadays, dude, and they all kind of just have the same setup. Big move. People go through tables, Canadian destroyers. People go through ladders. Like it's just always the same formula. And I've seen so many of them in my life. They all kind of blend together. So it was fine for what it was. Now, this match was actually on its way to being my favorite match of the evening. Mariah May versus Timeless Toni Storm. This was a hell of a match. Look, I've said before, I'm not a fan of women bleeding in wrestling, like blade jobbing, because, and again, I don't know if it's like, me being an old school guy. I don't know what it is, but like, it's not even like, this is not a sexist thing. I just don't like to see women blading themselves. Like a pretty girl cutting herself. It's just not my thing. Like, I'm just not into it. But for this story, it worked because Toni Storm, this whole thing started with her getting gigged open. So this match told a story. This is the kind of match that I like to see. This is my kind of wrestling where it's a lot of character work and a lot of facials. Toni Storm wrestled this match and had a soft spot for Mariah May. And you could tell that was the story. Meanwhile, Mariah May was vicious. She was a killer, and she wound up winning the match because of how ruthless she was. And Toni Storm softened up, and it cost her the title. This told a phenomenal story, and the fact that it was only 15 minutes, dude, like, they told just as good a story in 15 minutes as any other match told in 30. It was really, really good. Like, great storytelling here. And obviously, you'd assume the feud will continue because of, I mean, they had tons of near falls. They had Dr. Luther out there, being wacky, getting taken out, being involved. Like, the near falls were great. I could not believe how good this was. And I'm just going to say it right now. They put the wrong women's match on later, bro, because, look, I know that Mercedes is the perceived bigger star because she was a WWE superstar on higher levels than Toni Storm or Mariah May because she was WWE Women's Champion multiple times. And Toni Storm never got that. But, man, Britt Baker, Sasha Banks, Britt Baker, Mercedes Moné, that was the worst match of the night. I saw people on social media shredding this match apart. I don't know what was going on. I don't know if, like, they forgot what they had to do. They looked lost out there. God bless them. I don't know what happened. Because Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks has had great matches. I mean, just go back 10 years ago. NXT Brooklyn was, I think, 10 years ago. The infamous match with Bayley. What is going on here? It was not good. It was also placed in a weird spot on the card. But it did not deliver on the build-up. Remember, that match was supposed to be one of the core matches on the show, and it just did not deliver. But this match for the women's world title, this should have gone on later in the show. Hook and Chris Jericho with Big Bill and Brian Keith. This was the FTW match. This time, you know how they have like billiard balls and stuff like. This time they brought in cricket balls and like a cricket mallet, and for the UK that was clever. Jericho's doing the whole like fake nice guy thing. Hook comes out with like what was sort of a remix of Taz's theme, and during the match, like, Big Bill and Brian Keith are just laying into Hook, helping Jericho out, and no one's helping Hook out. And I'm like, does he not have any friends in the back? And the one that actually helped him out was his father, Taz, bro. So Taz came out there and he put Brian Keith in the Kata Hajime, the Taz mission, and then Hook won the title from Jericho. This was, a big win for Hook's career or so we believe. But I mean, the dude's also had plenty of big wins in the past, and it didn't go anywhere here. I was wondering where Samoa Joe was. I mean, Samoa Joe was Hook's boy. Shibata was his boy too for a while, and we know he's there. I don't know what happened, man. Like, I feel like somebody should have been out there helping him. That didn't make any sense. The match itself was whatever. Like, it was fine. I do think Jericho still needs some time off. I don't think he's going to book himself to get time off, but I think he needs time off. Now is the time to do it. 3-way tag title match. Young Bucks, FTR, and Acclaimed. This was like last year's match, except that the Acclaimed was in this one. And there were a couple of cool spots, like Billy Gunn coming in, doing the famouser on one of the Bucks. And I actually missed the finish of this because the feed was bad. But apparently, like, the feed went bad, so I missed the finish. From what I saw, it was fine. But I do kind of feel like, as much as I love FTR, and they had the Bret Hart tights on, FTR and the Bucks, man, like, they have great chemistry, but now I feel like the matches are starting to blend together too much. Like, there's almost, maybe they should give that one a break for a while. I don't know, but the Young Bucks won. I know that because after that, the grizzled young veterans got in there, which I am not too familiar with them. Like, I've heard their name and I've seen them a couple times, but I did not recognize who they were when they first ran in. They looked like a couple of fans, but I guess that's going to be like the next big match, because I guess they were trying to get the championship, but then they started beating up on FTR. So I guess they're going to be doing that match first, and at least it's going to be like a different match. At least we're going to get something different. So the Young Bucks retained. They should have dropped it here, but they retained. I did like the Sgt. Pepper entrance for their ring gear. Like, that was awesome. Also, the Platinum Max Caster rap, I don't think they've been that good lately. I don't know, man. They just haven't been like what they used to be. It's like when MJF cuts his promos. Like, you can only do that type of shit, that shock value shit, a little bit before it gets tiring. So you have to kind of change it up a little tiny bit. You know what I mean? It just depends. So then came the Casino Gauntlet match. So this was on its way to being my favorite match of the night until the finish. So, two big surprises. So I'm going to go through the people who were in the match and the big surprises. Orange Cassidy, Okada. Then Nigel McGuinness was the first surprise. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, Nigel's going to win. And then after Bryan wins the title, he's going to screw him over and then win the title himself in Wembley. Because I'm thinking, okay, he's back. Tony Khan's an ROH mark. He'll put the title on Nigel. Fine. Like, okay. But no, that's not the case. That didn't happen. Kyle O'Reilly came out. Zack Sabre Jr., great surprise. Happy to see him always. Him and Nigel had a great exchange. Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Adam Page, Jeff Jarrett, which I popped for. And then the surprise debut, which isn't that much of a surprise because everybody knew he was coming. Ricochet debuts for AEW. And not really a fan of his new music. I liked his NXT music the most. Christian and then Luchasaurus. Or so we thought. Christian gets in there, and I'm still thinking Nigel's going to win. And they have a few good near falls. But they tease that Luchasaurus, that kill switch, is finally back to being Luchasaurus. With no teaser, no build up to it. And it all turned out to be a ruse because once again, kill switch helps Christian win. So, Bryan Danielson is the AEW champion. Right? He won the title at the end of the night. There's a lot of matches I want to see with Bryan now. You could do Ospreay. You could do another Swerve match. You could do Nigel. You could do a lot of guys. Ton of guys on that roster. Christian Cage is not the guy who I think should be getting another title shot. He just had one in May, and I like him as a heel, don't get me wrong, but this match should probably not... I don't know, man. I like Christian. This is not about him not being a great wrestler, because he is a great wrestler, but I think that maybe the time should be that he should wind down from getting world title shots. There's a lot of other guys that I think should be in that spot besides him. That finish killed a lot. It killed the show, dude. Like, a lot of people did not like that finish, dude. I don't like it. it's repetitive, and it's lazy booking. There should have been something else done here. And the match was on its way, dude. Ricochet, I think, was great, though. And Jeff Jarrett got a hell of a pop, too. And Karen Jarrett was there, and he got to hit Hangman with the El Kabong, which made me happy as a fan of his. AEW American Championship match, Will Ospreay, MJF. So this match was great. I mean, it was like the TV match they had, except with a little bit of a faster pace, and it felt like more of a main event match. But it wasn't as long, but it was okay. It still had that sort of that greatness of Will Ospreay, even though I will say that I don't feel it was as strong of a match as the Swerve match or the Danielson match, but I would still say it was good. MJF is great, always. His gimmick's getting a little tired as a heel, but, he came out dressed like Apollo Creed and Rocky with the American flag, and he's trying to get heat with the Brits, with the American, the whole pro-America thing. I don't know what he was going for there. Ospreay came out with this Assassin's Creed entrance because they're doing like a co-promotion for the game. But what happened was MJF was going to use brass knucks because I guess his ring got stolen by, like, his actual Dynamite ring got stolen, so he used the knucks. And then this fan, or this guy, came out in black and stopped him, like with a black hoodie, stopped him from using the knuckles. And it was Daniel Garcia, the guy who MJF laid out a month and a half ago, something like that. About a month and a half ago. And then Ospreay hit him with the Hidden Blade and the Tiger Driver 91 for the win. So Ospreay saying he's never going to do it. He did it. We're past that. But MJF's tights look like Lex Luger, bro. I don't know if we're back in SummerSlam 93, bro. I mean, that was August of 93, maybe that's what he was going for. I guess it makes sense here. And man, they did, let me tell you the problem with this match. They did a fucking Canadian Destroyer and a Tombstone pile driver on the floor, and AEW has killed the pile driver so badly that I knew it wouldn't be the finish. And yes, Tiger Driver 91 is kind of a pile driver, but I knew it would not be the finish because it never is, bro. AEW guys get knocked on their head loopy, and they just keep going. So, yeah, man. It's a small criticism, but they really need to tone back on doing pile driver moves and having it be a 2 count. Because you killed the move dead, bro. Then we have Britt Baker, DMD, and Mercedes Moné. The less said about this, the better. I mean, this was not a good match, bro. I mean, Moné came out with the carriage, the Cinderella carriage, but the crowd wasn't really into it. Like, I don't know if Sasha Banks is justifying her paycheck right now. She's not drawing on television. She's not drawing in the arenas. She's a good talent. She was great in WWE. Something in AEW is not connecting. Her promos are just not good. Like, there's something missing from this package, and I hope that they figure it out because it was weird, man. It's not working out for her. So, coffin match for the TBS title, Darby Allin, Jack Perry. And I swear, I thought we were going to get, before the match even started, I said, watch, Jack Perry's going to bring out real glass. And he did. And the crowd chanted, fuck CM Punk. Which, by the way, those same fans were probably, many of them were probably at the freaking Scotland show. And they will be at WrestleMania cheering Punk on. But that's okay because when you're at an AEW show, it's fun to it's fun to play around and like play with them. You know what I mean? Play along with them. Same thing with WWE. So, they were all chanting fuck CM Punk. Some people were chanting CM Punk, but it was all part of the scapegoat character. He actually came out wearing a goat head. That was kind of clever. So, the match was brutal. I mean, it's just typical shit. Darby Allin and Jack Perry. Darby Allin scares me every time he wrestles, but it was another one of those matches that I would say is like it's another one of those like bloody matches that you like it wasn't they didn't overdo it, and I'm happy about that. Like, they didn't overdo it, but part of me wonders, should they have overdone it for All In? And then I'm thinking, hell no, because Darby Allin always overdoes it. Always. So he lost, though. Jack Perry beat him in the coffin match, and they teased lighting him on fire like Kane and Undertaker at the Rumble 98. And then out come Sting, who retired in March. He's back to help out his buddy. He's not wrestling. He's not unretired. He just came out with the bat to lay out the Bucks, and Perry ran, and that was it, to save his buddy. At least the fans in Wembley got to see Sting. That was a nice moment for them because they didn't get to, Sting retired in March and might not have gotten a chance to ever see him again. So having Sting appear is cool. I kind of think it'd be cool to have Sting appear at all the All-Ins. Not necessarily wrestle, but maybe next year it could be like, come out and wave to the fans, something like that to keep him involved, even if he's not going to be wrestling. Because he can be a good spokesperson for AEW. Bryan Danielson, Swerve Strickland. What a fucking match, bro. What a great match this was, dude. They had Swerve, the younger opponent, working over Bryan, his head, his neck. They did a very weird spot where Swerve hit the back of Bryan's head on a bell, but he was bleeding from the front. That made no sense, and it was stupid. But besides that, the rest of the match was great. The best moment of this match, I will never forget this. Bryan went for the flying knee, and Strickland literally brushed off the move. Now, I'm not really a fan of, oftentimes guys doing that, but he's the champion of the world. He should be doing that in those TV matches he has with Kyle Fletcher and guys like that. Like, when he has those TV matches where he's going 50-50 with a guy for 30 minutes, no. He should be doing stuff like that. Not every match, but that was the coolest spot because that was the one time in the match where I thought that Bryan was screwed, and he wasn't. Hangman came out, and I thought, oh, great, he's going to screw somebody over. And it wasn't a complete screw job. All it led to was Bryan hitting the flying knee, but it was not a 3 count. But then what ends up happening is they keep wrestling, and then Bryan basically puts him in the label lock, but then pulled back on the arm, so it was like a double lapel lock, almost like a Regal stretch, almost. And Swerve tapped out. First time he's ever tapped out. And Bryan got the great post-match celebration with, Wheeler Yuta came out and Claudio, and they brought Brie Bella and his kids in the ring, and they were the most adorable. Like, Brie Bella and Bryan's kids were the best. This was a great moment. This was a phenomenal match. The great way to end the show. And I love the fact that Swerve wore the Jimmy Rave's robe to the ring. And that was an ode to Jimmy Rave, bro, who was also a member of the Embassy with Prince Nana in 2006. That's fucking cool. That is fucking cool. Damn, bro. It was just so great, bro. Like, the family, like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. I don't know how I feel about Swerve losing the title this soon, but Bryan got his run, or he's getting his run. Maybe he'll drop it back to Swerve in Seattle at Wrestle Dream. I don't know what they're gonna do, but let's enjoy Bryan, man. He's probably gonna be a somewhat semi-part timer after this run, so we should enjoy it while we have it because this was a hell of a match. We'll see where they go from here. I just don't want to see Bryan and Christian. Great show. Mercedes Moné and Britt Baker was not good, and the finish of the gauntlet match was not good, but besides that, the whole show was pretty fun. I'm not sure I'm that excited to see where AEW goes, except for Bryan. We'll see what they do. Nothing, Ricochet's there, so we'll see Ricochet and Ospreay. I do want to see that. And of course, I don't care about MJF and Daniel Garcia that much. Like, they can make me care, but right now I don't care that much. Let's see where they go. I don't know. But it was a good show. It was a good show. It didn't have the same energy as last year, probably because this year there wasn't no Punk fight backstage that overshadowed the whole show. So at least they got that. What did you think about this show? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and let's see where they go from here. I'll be back to review All Out in a couple weeks. See you then. Well, I'll be back before then, but you know. That'll be my next AEW video. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Take care.